cheering in the streets. But you're about to walk into a situation tomorrow at the United Nations where a lot of people don't like a strong President Trump, but they don't like a strong United States of America. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
Well, first, Jason, I want to salute President Trump as commander-in-chief and our amazing military, special operations operatives, and law enforcement for the bold, decisive, and successful action that they've taken. In terms of the United Nations, you hear a lot of hand-wringing on Article 2 of the UN Charter, which deals with sovereignty. And I will remind everyone of Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, which is, as we have in the past, which is a nation's inherent right to self-defense. So in this case, you have a drug kingpin, an illegitimate leader, indicted in the United States, coordinating with the likes of China, like Hezbollah, pumping drugs, thugs, and weapons into the United States of America, threatening to invade its neighbors. Its neighbor Guyana, with one of the largest, is under threat from the Maduro regime, one of the largest refugee crises in the world, larger than even Syria, Jason. And at the end of the day, was the United States, was President Trump just going to let that status quo continue? Absolutely not. He gave diplomacy a chance. He gave Maduro a chance. But he took decisive action in the interest of the United States, and Maduro will now be prosecuted. And
it is amazing to me the number of people who don't understand that when Donald Trump actually says something, he means it, and he foreshadows it, and it means peace through strength. But I also, Ambassador, thought it was interesting that earlier taken that they were actually meeting with the Chinese. What are the Chinese interests there in Venezuela? Why was Venezuela so important to the Chinese?
And the Chinese are moving incredibly aggressively into the Western Hemisphere, into South America. President Trump and Secretary Rubio are pushing back on that hard. But what you've seen is China getting cheap oil, moving in and taking key geography, taking things like ports and food supplies right in our Western Hemisphere, right in Central South America. And this is why, amongst many reasons, this is such a critical national security issue. And to your point, senior Chinese delegation was meeting with Maduro just hours before, and we haven't even started talking about the likes of Hezbollah, Iran, Russia, and others. And here's a bigger picture, Jason, of what President Trump is doing with his foreign policy and the strategic approach here. You now have Argentina moving our way, or is a key ally, Chile moving our way, Paraguay, Honduras. We're taking UN action against the gangs in Haiti with burden sharing there. President Trump knows from the Arctic to our border to Central and South America, our supply chains matter. Our homeland security matters, and we have the food supply, the critical minerals, the energy, you name it, for our national security right here in our Western Hemisphere, but it's been ignored by administration after administration, no longer under President Trump.
Yeah, I do like the idea of the Don Rowe doctrine. It rings bells to me. Explain to us how bad, I like the way you framed it, drugs and thugs. That's what Venezuela was bringing into the United States. How bad was that situation? We saw things playing out in Colorado and Tren de Aragua and, crisscrossing this country. But these characters were coming out of Venezuela, and what the indictment's all about.
Yeah, and that's the strategic shift. President Trump, Stephen Miller, DHS Secretary Noam, and others have made. These groups, Tren de Aragua, Cartel de los Soles, these aren't like our grandfather's Mafia. These are more like ISIS and Al Qaeda with state backing. Maduro was a state backer of narco-terrorism. These operatives are some of the most vicious in the world. They're right here in the United States killing, had the backing of Venezuela's military and intelligence service, partnered with the Iranians the Chinese and Russians, and also the Cubans. So enough was enough. Enough with our homeland security being threatened, and the action. And you're hearing, Jason, a lot of analogies to Iraq and those Noriega, a convicted narco-terrorist who is now being brought to justice. Panama, which by the way is sitting on the UN Secure Better for it. Our region, our safety and security for every American will be far better action.
Well, the United Nations meeting tomorrow, and you're going to be there, and we'll be watching.
Scary tab.
चलेगा काम करेगा और तो नहीं चलता पेपर तो होगा हमारा अब पता उसने सबसे कमाई की है 158
तेरे कितने करीब थे?
155 के करीब दिखा बहुत बढ़िया फार्म है यार कोर्स के अपने भी के पर इनकी उम्र ज़्यादा नहीं है 24 साल तक ही डाल सके फार्म 24 साल से